The next issue we're going to talk about is one that's deeply important to me, deeply important to our council, and that's the issue of race equity. It's a subject matter that we've formally adopted as a budget priority and as a council priority to really explore how we can ensure that everyone in Waco has the opportunity for success and a quality of life that we would expect for Wacoans. And so Deidre and I are going to talk a little bit about this today. Mostly Deidre's going to talk a little about this today, luckily. And so with that, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. And so earlier I introduced myself and the Mayor introduced me as Deidre Emerson, Deputy City Manager. But I also serve as the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for the City of Waco. And so, the work is not, I won't say that it's hard or that it's, let me say it like this, it is hard and it is challenging, but we have a great community who is doing a lot of work together. Hence, we're all in this room together today. And so this is a great example of coming together to understand what the issues are in our community so that we can do and we can break down barriers for the least of these in our community. And so the goal, and the mayor asked me kind of to talk about why is this goal important? Why are we doing this work? And so the work around race equity started many years ago for some true Wacoans, if you remember the Visioning Project. Anyone remember that? And so that work happened many years ago, and it talked about how the linkage and the benefit and the growth that could happen in our community based off of the Brazos River and the connectivity and the life that has grown and breathed out of that. So then there was additional work that happened around the Upjohn Report, and we've done a number of studies. We've done a number of things, and we've talked about it a lot, but at some point it's time for us to do some things. And so in 2019, our council, under the leadership of former Mayor Kyle Deaver, asked for us to have a race equity retreat. And we did that. That was after attending the first, we were the first cohort for the Race Equity Institute that's sponsored by Cooper Foundation and Waco Foundation. If you and your congregants have not had the opportunity to participate in the Race Equity Institute, I would highly suggest it. It is an educational, it is a time commitment, but anything that we do for the benefit of our community that is going to help us grow stronger together requires time and a commitment. Mm-hmm. And I believe that the group that's here with us today is committed to that because you're here and you want to hear about what to do and how to do it. And so that's been important to our council, to our manager's office in doing that work. So in 2019, we had that first retreat, and born out of that, as Mayor mentioned, was the strategic goal and funding priorities around race equity. So we've spent time doing that, and we started doing that work looking internally. There's things that we wanted to look at our policies and our procedures, and how are we doing things? Not necessarily what you're doing, because we can't really guide you to places that we haven't been. And so we need to really look at ourselves and think about how are we doing it? What's our approach? What's the impact that we're having on our employees? And what our policies and procedures say? So we've done that, and we'll continue to do that work. Most recently, we've instituted an internal working group where we are looking at which is made up of city employees from all levels within our organization. It is not just the manager's office or department heads telling us or telling folks what they need to do. We want to hear, like we've heard, it's a theme for us. We really want to hear from the people that are doing the work, the folks that are impacted by the decisions that are made, so that we are doing what's right and what's in providing an equitable place for our employees to work and thrive. So according to the community survey collected by the U.S. Census Bureau, in the last 12 months, at least 50% of our population earned less than $49,000. Is that shocking? And so one of the things that we've done, if you heard some of the panel work earlier on the financial security, is we've looked at that. So that's part of our decision-making process. What types of programs are we doing? And who are we doing those programs for? Who are the end users and who is benefiting the most from that work? So we just think about why is it important? It's important because we want to be a community where we are thriving. And success doesn't come if only some are succeeding. Success comes when we all have the ability to succeed. It's an option, right? There's an opportunity. We can provide the resources. We do have to expect for people to take advantage of those resources, but we do have a responsibility to make sure that there's opportunity and that it's accessible. Not just how I want you to have it, but how you need to have it. So whether that is, what's the format that we're providing it in? Can you understand it? Can you read it? Is it in English? Is it in Spanish? Is it in Braille? There's different abilities. Folks have different abilities, and we want to make sure that we are meeting people where they are so that we're providing good quality services.
No? Just nodding. Agreeing. Yes, that's good.
So one of the other things I wanted to make sure that we emphasize to you all is, how are we really doing this? How are we doing this? So we say that we're doing the work. It's been a commitment to our council as well as our city management team. The majority of our council, the majority of our city management office team, in fact, let me fix that. All of our city manager's office team and the majority of our department heads, with the exception of a few, have all been through Race Equity Institute training. And so I count that as a win. And so I say that it's a win because people have to be able to understand what the issues are. I don't know what I don't know. And until I go to seek to understand, then I can start to form and act and work and do things differently. So I think that's a big accomplishment for us in an institution as our size, that many folks have been through. Guess they didn't want me to tell you. Through Race Equity. Okay. So we've been through that work because we really want to make sure that we all understand our why and what our why is. Why is it important? Why do we do it? Who are we doing it for? But beyond looking at our policies and procedures and the programs that directly impact our workforce, we also are looking at who we're doing business with and how are we doing that business. We're instituted the We All Win program, but we are also in the process of doing a disparity study. And part of that is not necessarily to say we don't want to do business with some folks anymore. We want to make sure that we are providing an open opportunity for whoever wants to do business with us, that they have access to do that business with us. We recognize that we've got a number of quality contractors in our community. We want to make sure that we can do business with all of them, that there's access for all of them, not just some of them. So it does take some work, and it does take some take a minute for us to take some hard looks at ourselves to see what we're doing, how we're doing it, but it's worth it in the end. I mean, we want to make, again, like I said before, success doesn't happen until everyone has the ability to succeed. It can't just be some, it has to be all. A couple of things, and I'll just go through a list of some things that we have done to create equity within our organization. And I give all the credit to our council because there's a number of things that we wouldn't be able to do. I can take, in manager's office, we can take a ton of recommendations, but unless the council approves them, they don't happen. So I don't do, or our team doesn't do work in a vacuum. It's all of our work collectively. So the increasing of our minimum wage to $15 an hour, we were able to do that. Reestablishing education assistance within our organization. So that program, eligible employees, so if you know employees that are within your congregations and they want to pursue their educations deeper, we have an education assistance program. They are eligible to receive up to $2,500 per semester. So we reinstituted that program in the last budget year. The implementation of paid parental leave, that provides 6 weeks of paid parental leave to eligible employees. We have a relationship and a contractual relationship with MCC, TSTC, as well as WISD. Their students can ride Waco Transit for free. Yeah, I'm for free. We do. If those individuals, we want to be in a position where we are removing barriers. So if those students, members of your congregation have jobs that they need to get to after school, or they have the ability to ride Waco Transit for free if they are a student in one of those institutions. That's MCC, TSTC, or WISD. We talked a bit about the Small Business Recovery Grant, and actually started that in COVID. Mm-hmm. That's what led us to doing the big We All Wins, because we saw the impact that COVID-19 was having on our small business community. And so we know that small businesses are foundational to strong neighborhoods, because how often, not all the time, can you get to the big restaurant or the big store, and sometimes you need that little small mom and pop that's down the street to help you get through. And so we really saw how COVID-19 was impacting our small businesses, and so we started that work then. And when we were able to access the home ARP dollars, our council, mayor, and council approved for us to expand the opportunity with that. Parks and Recreation has, hopefully some of you participated. They have a number of programs that they do, but they reinstituted holidays around the world this past Christmas holiday season. And so that we want to make sure that at all ages there's exposure and understanding of things that are different than us. It's okay for things to be different or something that we aren't used to. I think the best results come out of when someone is in an uncomfortable position, because it's not okay to just be comfortable all the time. And this work takes us being willing to be uncomfortable. And so when you're in that position, it really helps you to grow and stretch and be really who all you were created to be. Mm-hmm. The library team recently implemented a program that recognizes the impact of African Americans at the East Waco Library. They will soon begin this process to do a similar program at the South Waco Library. So if you haven't seen the windows at the East Waco Library, just take a drive by and look at that, and then you'll see that soon to come at the South Waco Library. So we'll continue our work on implementing policies and procedures and programs that allow this work to be sustainable, because what's important, not just to me, but to our manager and our council, is we want our work around diversity, equity, and inclusion to live past us. We don't want it to be a box that we checked, because this work isn't about us, it's about the community that we serve, and that our community is stronger when we are collectively together. Such as the development of a language equity plan is being worked on, and we'll use that data to drive how we communicate with you, how we communicate internally within our organization, in the way that people want to be communicated with, where people need to be communicated with, so messages are received so that people know and have access to what they need. So again, I talked a little bit about the disparity study, and we just want to make sure that we are providing access to individuals. So if you have individuals within your congregation that have small businesses, when we have focus groups around the disparity study, we need to hear their feedback. We need to know what worked, what didn't work. This is a process that helps us improve how we do our business and who we do our business with. So that's all I have, Mayor.
I want to talk a little bit about some ideas of how you might engage in some of this work. The first thing I would encourage you to do is explore the data here locally. We have some of that available to you. It's also, you can Google it. The Waco Trib did an excellent article on this when we did that initial retreat that outlined some of the disparities of outcome in our community. But to me, that grounds the problem in reality. A statistic, and statistics are easy, so as I say these statistics, put faces to it, put reality to it. 51% of African American households in Waco make less than $25,000 a year compared to white households. That is staggering. That is unacceptable. It is scandalous. That's an older statistic. That's from a few years ago. That's not fresh. But that's one that haunted me, and said that as we move forward in building out an economy, a lens that we need to look through is what are we doing, as Deidre said, to really ensure that everyone has the opportunity. That doesn't mean that everybody, regardless of your race, is going to seize that opportunity, but we want to be strategic about turning the tide around and making that statistic not a reality in this community, because that's not the Waco that any of us want. So data, look at the data and come to grips with that. The other thing that you can do is use your voice to bring justice and righteousness with love into our community. Because look, people don't want to hear a government bureaucrat talk about this, but they'll listen to their pastor. They'll listen to their faith leader. They'll listen to the leader of their faith community in a way that is going to be much more effective than what my voice would be. I think that you can set the culture in Waco for unity and build on that. I think that Waco's culture is a culture that has great unity, great collaboration, great friendship. I saw that at lunch in this room. But your voices and your heart for this community can help set that culture. I'm going to challenge you with this too. You can bring creative solutions to bear. Once you see this data, and put on those lenses and say, I want Waco to be a city where that statistic is not a reality. I want to be a city where no matter what neighborhood you grew up in, no matter what your background is, you are going to have an opportunity to find success. And so think creatively on what are the solutions that our community can bring to bear. To really make sure Waco is an opportunity where we can close these gaps. And then see what proactive work that you might want to do. I think that looking at the template of some of the work the city has done is a great template for maybe even internally in your own organization or community of faith. And I'll just echo what Deidre said, and that's that this work isn't easy. There's way more fun work to do. There's way less challenging, way less challenging work to do. And part of that is because this has potential to be hot button. It has potential to be divisive. But I don't think that's the culture of Waco. I think the culture of Waco is to take on challenges head on. I think the culture of Waco is to have hard conversations, but do it with dignity and grace. And so that is my hope for our city, is that as you move forward as leaders in our community, leaders of your communities, leaders of your congregations, that you will be able to understand the reality of the situation in our community, that there is opportunity to close the gaps of disparities with strategy and proactivity, and that you'll be a champion of that, because the city that I think we all want is one where everyone has the opportunity to find success, financial security, and a good quality of life. And again, I've said it before, we cannot do it without you. So thank you all for engaging in this discussion. I want to say how much I appreciate our Deputy City Manager, Deidre Emerson, for all of her work and the rest of the city management's work on this. Bradley Ford as well. Our whole city team, our City Attorney Jennifer Ritchie, who's not here, our city team is really aligned to really close these gaps, the disparity of outcomes in our community with strategy and proactivity. And look at the lens that we're walking around with to say, what are we doing to make Waco a place where there is opportunity that everyone can achieve. So thank you, Deidre, for all that you do. And I appreciate y'all engaging in this conversation with us today.